Welcome to The Human Thread, a space for those seeking something real in a world dominated by noise and algorithms. I'm Greg, and here we unravel the fabric of authentic connection through creativity, meaningful conversations, and reflections on the messy, beautiful human experience. Let's dive into the threads that bind us beyond likes and follows to meaning, art, and genuine dialogue. Recently, I underwent a colonoscopy, and like anyone who has experienced it knows, the preparation is no joke. Now, believe me when I say this, and you might have heard other people say this as well, if you have not had a colonoscopy yet, is that the procedure itself is actually not only just fine, it's actually great. Like I had the best nap I've ever had coming in and out of that colonoscopy procedure. But the preparation is no joke. The instructions are extremely precise. What can you eat? What can you not eat? What color liquid? What color can you not drink? When to drink the solution and how much of the solution to drink. You know, I decided to try something different. And you know, while there is the prep that includes drinking a whole bunch of stuff, there's also a new prep that includes taking pills instead. So I opted for the pill version of the prep. And I will tell you that that was no joke either. Instead of the drink, it still required swallowing 12 massive pills in a row at a precise time. And then guess what? Repeating that same process 6 hours later. So 24 pills at a very specific time. Because my procedure was very early in the morning, it actually meant I was up at like 1 a.m. and then again at 6 a.m. or whatever, something like that. But twice in the middle of the night, drinking 12 pills each. Now, I followed these guidelines to the letter. There were zero exceptions to my following of the instructions. I understood the stakes of following the instructions to the letter. You know, a clean procedure requires a clean slate, and even a small deviation could compromise that clarity of the results. Not to mention, if you're going to take the time to do this procedure, the last thing you want to do is have to do it again right away because guess what? You followed the wrong directions, or maybe as soon as they started the procedure, they're like, yep, nope, you're not clean. So the last thing you want to do is run the risk of doing it twice. You know, this experience got me thinking about presence, how I show up for my friends, my family, my colleagues. You know, just as I followed that colonoscopy prep with unwavering diligence, what if I applied that same level of intentionality to being present with the people in my life? You know, what if I treated my attention as something requiring careful preparation and deliberate choices rather than leaving it to chance? I feel like I talk about our distraction-filled world in every single post, but it's such a huge part of the world we live in and such a huge part of my thinking right now. It's so easy to offer half-hearted engagement. We nod while we check our phones or listen while mentally drafting a to-do list. We know when people are distracted, and we are distracted on our own. But real presence requires way more than that. It demands the same strict adherence I gave to my colonoscopy prep, clear boundaries, deliberate choices, and an understanding that the outcome, deep, meaningful connections, depends on my intentionality. Just as I avoided the foods and drinks that would cloud the results, I need to avoid distractions that cloud my relationships. No exceptions, or, you know, at least let's strive for as few exceptions as possible. And when I sit down with a friend, my phone stays away. When a colleague needs my input, I resist the urge to multitask. When I'm with family, I give my undivided attention because these moments are fleeting and deserve my full self. And, you know, I will tell you, this is especially true right now as I desperately grasp tight to those precious moments with my son, who is our youngest, before he's off to college in the fall. My goal, like the colonoscopy, is clarity. Clarity of mind, clarity of connection, and clarity of purpose. And by being intentional to that last detail, I create the conditions for genuine presence. And just as that clean scan gave me peace of mind about my health, this kind of mindful attention brings peace and fulfillment in my relationship. Being present isn't complicated, but it must be intentional. And if I can commit to the rigorous prep for a medical procedure, I can certainly commit to the prep required to show up fully for the people I love and the work that matters to me. Recently, in a conversation with my brother-in-law, he told me about his experimentation with a Sabbath practice. Every Sunday, he is experimenting with the freedom from all devices. For him, that means no phone, no computer, no email, no texts, and he even threw in no purchases. Now, he told me that it is partly a reconnecting to his Jewish side for religious, spiritual, and cultural reasons, and partly as a rhythm of life, unplugging and being more present and less compulsive. And it was so great to hear him tell me about this. It started with his intentionality and is continuing with his willingness to try it out. Now, the best part of this exchange for me, however, was I only learned about it because we were intentional on putting a check-in meeting on our calendar. He lives 3,000 miles away from me, but investing in my relationship with him is not just because he is family. It's like what I talked about last week. I step into every conversation with curiosity and tenderness, knowing that each person we meet shapes us in ways we may never fully comprehend. It was great to be intentional with these types of conversations. It was great to put that on the calendar and have a recurring check-in. And it was also great to hear about his Sabbath practice. Now, I recognize his version of this practice may not work for everyone. It doesn't work for me, mainly because, some of my deepest connections are with people who live far away from me, and we share a love for our sports teams that compete on the weekends, and our love for texting each other throughout the game. Like that is the primary way in which I interact with some of my closest friends. And besides, being free from devices may be a form of self-care, but self-care is also commiserating with lifelong friends about our team and reliving the not-so-distant memory of the glory days. And while his version may not work for me, my version has started with turning non-essential notifications off or leaving my phone on its charger when I get home, and actually telling my friends and family what I'm striving to do. Now, by taking these deliberate steps, I am creating the conditions for clearer, more meaningful connections, just like the precise prep needed for my clean scan. Am I perfect? Well, let's face it, no one is. But I certainly strive to be more intentional and deliberate with my choices. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If today's episode sparked curiosity or resonated with you, let's keep the conversation going on the Human Thread Substack. And until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the human threads that connect us.